Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Opinion Leaders. Happy weekend to all. And of course, it's almost Christmas, and as the days go by, we can never really fully stress the importance of being green and being environmentally friendly. And our topic for this evening is very close to my heart. We will be talking about sustainable construction with our very special guest, architect Dylan Melgazo from WWF, and of course, Ms. Ria Nunez, the product manager and consumer care manager of Philips Electronics and Lighting. Good evening, guys, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. First of all, to the both of you, I guess to Architect Dylan, when you say sustainable construction, what does that mean for our televiewers, sir?
Construction with little or no impact at all on the environment as you build. So that's basically it. You have little or no burden at all during construction.
Okay, and is this is actually possible considering with so many things going on? I remember when I was younger, asbestos was a big issue to the environment. So there is such a thing as something that's construction that's really that's not going to hurt the environment.
Yeah, the no burden part is a bit difficult, but the reduced or least burden part is quite achievable. It's everywhere. It's being practiced here in the Philippines as well. It's not something that's from abroad and we're trying to copy. It's already here.
I see.
So yes, it is possible.
Okay, and is it popular? Is it being practiced now by a lot of people?
I think the problem is the awareness part, that people need to find out what it is exactly, and there are so many ways to market it that sometimes it becomes just marketing, and then the real essence or the real practices, the best practices, aren't really translated well. I mean, it's easy to label a product, for example, that it's green or it's eco-friendly or sustainable, but at the end of the day, it's really not.
That's
and
true,
it's the government as well has to play a part in that, because we need to have standards which tell us exactly if a particular product is green is it eco-friendly. But as far as people wanting it, I think the problem right now is that people don't really know about it.
Right.
And I think everyone who has found out about sustainable construction or green building, as it's popularly called, want to do something related to green architecture or green building.
So once again, it's information dissemination and actually the technical know-how, but definitely the interest is there, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so, because because we moved to Bonifacio Global City, and if you look at most of the construction there, they'll put there that they are adhering to the green standards. And you know, it's true that it's so easy to say that we're green, but really to actually and I had this experience because we worked with Starbucks in Fort Bonifacio,
the one with the drive-through.
Now, you know, it takes a lot from a company to really have that commitment, because Starbucks, from the very start, their commitment was to build a eco-friendly store, and it's the first, because it's not cheap. It really is not cheap to have a construction that is sustainable. From the materials that they use, you know, and not just for lighting, because we provided the lighting and we provided the LED lighting, which is quite still expensive at this time, no? But there was that commitment from their part, as well as the materials they used for the store.
Okay.
I think if I recall, some of the fixtures in the store came from Cebu, because then you reduce your carbon footprint from bringing in stuff from abroad. So it's a very broad term when you say it's green, because it's not just lighting, it's not just the materials, it's everything else, even water.
It's the process.
It's the whole process, and it's also the saving the energy from getting stuff from point A to point B.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And of course, Ms. Ria, let's go back to Philips, right? Because of course, when you say Philips, it's synonymous with lighting. Ever since I remember, it's really, you know, at the forefront of lighting. So Philips and WWF has partnered up for
Yes,
this? Can you
yes.
tell us a little bit about that
Yes,
partnership?
we are a donor to WWF, and any efforts that WWF has when it comes to sustainability, especially on the lighting aspect, we partner with them and we support their activities. We've been partners for quite some time already. Yeah.
They work with us particularly in our Earth Hour program, which
Yes,
is part
yes,
of the climate change and energy program that we have. And Earth Hour, as in the outset, is just about switching your lights off for 1 hour. But that's not the point. I mean, if it's just 1 hour, it doesn't mean anything. It's really symbolic, and it's really challenging you to go beyond the hour. That's why our symbol is 60 with a plus. Okay. And the plus is the more important part, because just having 60 minutes of no light, that doesn't mean anything. To be honest, it just saves just a few pesos of electricity, worth of electricity. But the real challenge is the plus. And Philips has been working with us in that, trying to save more electricity. Less electricity consumed means less coal burned at some point. And, with a growing population and more electricity needs or more power needs, then we really need to be concerned about how we are consuming electricity as a whole. And products like Philips, they need to be brought to the forefront. The information about saving electricity via changing your light bulbs from incandescent to CFL. That step alone will save you a lot of money. And if you care about conservation, it has to make sense financially. That's the key. Because if it doesn't make sense in your wallet and it puts a strain on your wallet, then it's difficult.
It's a burden,
yes. Right.
And it's also difficult to convince people if it's going to cost them so much. So it has to be mutually beneficial, definitely, to the environment and the consumer. But what's good though now is, of course, you did bring up that population problem, that our population, considering we're still third world and developing, how does that, that's one, for me, I feel that is one of the challenges that we face by going clean and green. How do we get through this challenge, this hurdle of our population so big, and then at the same time we're trying to push for a clean and green campaign, and it's very hard because everybody has their own opinions. One of the hard things about living in the Philippines that I've noticed is that many people, they clean up, they're clean in their environment, but then they dump their waste in, like, of course, yung mga esteros natin, at saka yung mga our rivers. That's why we have a water problem. Are we doing anything, or is there, let's say, a good response with this type of concerns?
I think for us, from Philips' standpoint, from a lighting perspective, we do have efforts together with WWF, and on our own, we do a palit ilaw activity wherein we change incandescent lamps to CFL lamps, because like what was mentioned earlier, just that alone is already a step forward, because just to give an idea, a 50 watts incandescent lamp, you can
this is the traditional yellow light, right?
Yeah. Okay. You can get a CFLI that will give you even much brighter light at 23 watts or 18 watts. So there alone you see
that's already less than half.
Yes.
More than half.
Yes,
rather,
more than half. So from Philips' standpoint, that is how we try to educate also the public, especially those living, the ones who are more in the CD, because they're the ones who actually, the ones who are more educated, they have converted to CFLI. There's a strong conversion, but as you know, it's a growing population.
Right.
But it's still your AB is still very small compared to your
C, D, E, and F.
Who is sometimes the hardest, the hardest to convince to switch, diba? So for us also, it's a challenge. It's a challenge because nakasanayan na eh. Diba?
Totoo.
Diba? And once you're used to something, that change just...
That's very true, yes.
It's something scary for them. And it has to make financial sense. That's what it is. So for us, we work with certain local governments, in Palit Ilaw. We did it before sa Palengke.
And this CFLI, right? Is it more expensive to purchase than your traditional incandescent light bulb?
Of course it is, but the lamp life is also longer.
Okay,
so let's say an incandescent is 1,000 burning hours. Okay. a CFLI is 8,000 burning hours.
So it's like times 8.
Diba? So
Right.
there pa lang, you don't naman use your, especially at home, when you turn on your lights, usually at night.
night,
So
yes.
in terms of even replacement, it's longer.
Yes.
It takes a longer time, diba,
So
to
it's
replace.
also more cost efficient. The only difference is the original purchase price.
Yeah.
It will go, the mileage is much, much more.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's something you have to educate them because, of course, it's an initial out-of-pocket expense,
Yes,
diba?
yes. And many people don't want to get over that. All they
Yes.
care about is nakita nila yung presyo, ay, ang mahal-mahal naman
Yes.
ito, ayaw ko na.
That's right.
Yes.
Go back
And
to
a lot
the
of green products are like that. That the initial cash out is always higher. For example, you look at solar panels right now, or solar-assisted air conditioning, and or even inverters, for example. These products are initially you need to spend more, but you look at the return of investment over time. It always wins out. But that's the hard part about green products because, some green products, because a lot of them follow that model where you only get more over time, but you have to pay more at the start.
Right, right.
And that's a difficult decision for most, especially for those who are not only people who are living in current houses, but constructing new ones. Because you have a very limited budget. You can only afford so much. You're trying to fit in that water heater that your husband or your wife wants, and you want to put in so many things. And then you're faced with this decision where you want to put green products, and then at that point you say, I don't have enough money to do it.
So then you close your eyes and then you just go the traditional way.
Go the traditional way.
When actually there are many people whose intentions are actually wanting to put green products, well, which is a good thing. Like, I'm not too familiar with those solar assisted air conditioning, because of course many people here use air conditioners, and the solar air cons actually they cut costs, right? And I mean that's also a lot on the monthly electricity bill.
It's quite new. That's a solar assisted.
Is it effective, for example?
It can reduce your consumption by 40%.
40%.
And they say coupled with inverters, it can reach up to 60 to 70%.
And this is since we say solar, so basically the solar power helps it during the day when the sun is out. But at night, let's say if you use your air conditioner, then that's the usual current.
Right. No, what will happen is it will store that energy. It will store that energy that it takes from the sun.
Storage.
And then at night, that's when it usually lasts mga 2-3 days, no?
This still has
amazing.
electricity. I mean, that's why it's assisted. But the fact that you're already placing some of the burden on something that's free and something that normally just dissipates the heat from the sun.
Right.
And that means a lot. I mean, if you can save even just 20%, but currently it's about 40. With the inverter, it's about 70. So I don't know if those numbers are correct, but I would assume it's at least 25 to 30%.
Okay.
And that's good enough.
Right. Even in street lighting, there is solar-powered street lighting as well. Philips has in China. We did light up a small town using solar panels.
One of our partners is SM, Hamilo.
Yes.
And in Hamilo, the project that, one of the projects we have is to reduce the overall output of Hamilo in terms of the footprint. And all their street lamps are solar panel.
That's
solar
amazing.
panel powered.
Okay. And of course, for Ms. Ria and Architect Dylan, we know now that many people are, because of our population problems and limited land and living space, a lot of people are buying condominiums. It's very popular with the OFWs, people who are working, because it's a lot more practical. You can leave it closed if you leave the country, and then maintenance, less maintenance because less help, you know. Considering that so many condominiums, so many realty corporations, so many developers are like building like there's, like we're running out of space and running out of time, are they integrating, like especially the big ones, are they integrating these green products, like lighting, like air conditioning, as a basic in their let's say, in the condominiums that they sell?
So it's true, yes. It's actually easier for bigger companies. They have the resources. They can hire the best people in the industry. They can hire even people educated from abroad, and they are doing it.
Okay.
I don't want we don't have to mention the bigger ones, but
of course.
They are all employing people who are trained, and the will from the upper management, if it's there, it will happen.
Yes.
So that means definitely it's very encouraging. You know, this is
Yes,
something that we can
yes,
look
yes.
forward to as time goes
Yes.
by.
I mean, even government